Right, let's do a quick commentary. Let's see, move this out of the way. I need to be fast. Okay. Alright. Okay, this is an interesting one. So, with all the summoners available, they are contesting this wave, even though they can't. Here you don't need to go E, right? You can just keep your combo and start auto all the way through. Your E, if you look at your E, that's 70 magic damage, and your headshot, it doesn't state anything about a headshot. It has 38 bonus damage. So you're getting about 1 extra auto attack off, right? In total. You could just walk up and auto attack. You're gonna get like 3 extra autos, 4 extra autos. Who knows? You're gonna get about 3 extra autos, maybe. Maybe 2. But 2 is already more than enough to not E there. You want to make sure you verify the kill, right? Beyond any Guardians, heal, Yumi bullshit, right? Soraka, like there's all sorts of heals that are in the game, but they're still limited. You can calculate them ahead of time. And that is one of the great skills in League that are hard to teach, because I can't see what you're calculating. So like some people don't calculate it and don't get that direct. If that happens to you, you should have a very immediate sense of feedback of, oh my god, I should have been calculating that. That's how you essentially improve it, is it's through your feedback loop, because there's too much little specific stuff going on in the game that any one person can mention it all. So in that way, you rely on your feedback after you make a mistake. So you're like, oh, I could have just, wait a second, I was in auto range, I could have just auto, that was my other option, right? I had 2 ways of playing, one of them didn't result in a kill. If you know the use case of the E, right, which is to finish the kill, and you didn't finish the kill, you're like, oh, I need to calculate for all that they have at that moment. This is a good example. Wait a second. So now let's look at Magath. So I've roasted bot lane, given my fair share of abuse there. Now let's go over to Magath. Alright. So 147. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, this is where you go for the mid lane gank, right? We can just wait around. So, oh, one remark. What? I didn't want to go there. So, this is it. This is the legendary Nico gank. Mid lane is not doing anything. They're just not doing anything to try and cross our plants at all, right? Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure you get her into the Jarvan area, right? So after this minion dies, try and get a minion that will put her in lethal range if she CS's it. And that's, for example, this one. And when she has to kite away from you, she's going to walk into Jarvan if you approach her from the top of that minion, right? So you can position yourself here and walk in there, which also telegraphs the gank in high elo, so that's when it sometimes fails. But in general, just use this until you, I don't know, play for the LCK. Because here what happens is, because she's allowed to stay on the side where Jarvan is, you guys are opposite side jungling, right? She's going to stay near her Jarvan, which is towards his top side, and you're going to go from the direct opposite direction. She can move away from you into her safety. You want to, if you're over here, and she sandwich, right? Then she has to move away from Nico into the Jarvan. I mean Sejuani. or away from Sejuani and into Nico, right? She has to choose. In this case, she doesn't need to choose. She can go into safety away from threats, and that gives her positional edge, netting the kills and winning the 2v2. It's a very, very crucial play. It's going to happen over and over and over again. So it's a very standard situation, which means that you can learn a lot from it. Like, by learning that, you learn, like, you will see that in your ranked games, or you'll be like, oh, that's a lot easier now, if you really master that concept of baiting someone into a sandwich. In all sorts of variations of situations. In ganks in mid lane, it's the most frequent early game, but also in team fights later on. Very, very common setup in any positionally related game, right? Anything that revolves around people hunting down other people. You could say in soccer it's called denying someone space, right? Essentially, she has a space over here, and by occupying it with Nico, you're denying her that space. So it's a concept in all sorts of sports under different names, right? Whether you call it denying space or sandwiching in this situation or whatever, right? It's the same concept. Alright, big fan of the early dragon. Not a big fan of doing it under these conditions. Ideally, you'd want to do it when you have the tempo advantage. Here, they have the tempo advantage. They finish shoving a wave. They are ahead in tempo. They're coming fresh from a back towards this Drake. If you finish shoving and they are forced to get the wave under turret, you have a tempo advantage, right? In this case, I mean, if they decide to back, then you get a little bit of tempo advantage. But I don't know if you guys knew that they backed in the first place. But it's not big enough as well. Like, if you have a 3-wave push under their turret, it telegraphs when they approach you, so you can play around it. You can even just not take the dragon, because they're just losing tons and tons and tons of experience. They'll just auto-lose bot lane if you just leave the Drake up. So in that case, it's a zero-risk play. In this case, it's very high risk. Alright. It's a very good pressure gank. They still have summoners, so... oh, he should not block that. Wow. That is amazing. So this is absolutely atrocious for the enemy team. This is when you would want to check if they're staying, right? Because some players, even in higher elo, even in diamond, some players do stay in these situations, even though they shouldn't. So you want to set up that dive in the first place. Find out about pink ward, then you control jungle in correspondence with how much tempo you have, right? How much time do you have to start sitting in a jungle? Probably just get the blue buff and get out. Get on with your business. This game is going in all the wrong directions. This play was very, very crucial, very educative, very nice in a way that it happened, because it's very conceptually... It's very easy to teach this concept. It's very clear, profound concept in strategy games. It's not a League of Legends play, right? You could play another game and the exact same will happen. That's the kind of situations I like to take a look at. Things that have underarching topics. This is a good example. You finish a shove. Remember that I said this before. Whenever you finish a push, you should always be looking to take priority and get to know where the enemy jungler is, or roam. Do something incredibly important. Those are two incredibly important tasks, right? Figuring out where the enemy jungler is helps your entire team, not just you. Doesn't just prevent the gank. If you stay in lane all the time, you also make your position predictable. You know, if you're in Fog of War, you're in lane. If you're there, they know where you are. If you just use the Fog, even just going into Fog of War is a common mid lane tactics. There are often times in pro play where I'll see a mid laner just loop around the edge and come back. They're just using the Fog of War mechanic. The fact that your position is unknown is a threat, even if you actually are in mid lane. In that case, you're kind of bluffing, right? If they knew you were in mid lane, then there would be no reason to leave mid lane through the back and come back in there. Obviously, that would be senseless. You know that you're gonna do that. The enemy doesn't. So you can do that with premeditated ideas, right? As long as your opponent doesn't know. That's a very clean setup. I don't know. This is nice to see. This actually gets every single CS under turret. That's what I would want to see. So for example, you don't want to hit this minion unless it puts it in this perfect HP value that it does with this Nico Q. And this ruins the CS. And you should be... Okay, okay. And then this one's ruined. And now this one's ruined. So you want to use anticipation on what... Like, I don't play Nico, so I didn't know this would put it in perfect range. But otherwise, usually you wouldn't want to do that. Chances of that being perfect are very low if you're not sure. It was perfect. You can hit this CS and CS it. Then with the regular auto this once. Right? And that's it. And these ones, if they need one more auto, you can do that then. Right? So, and if you have made that little plan, you can start thinking about something else. You can think about communicating with your team. Oh, by the way, guys. Oh, top lane looks pretty gankable. Can we get there? What's the situation there? By the way, guys. What about this Drake? Oh, by the way, guys. Where's Jarvan? Right? You have that time for yourself because you made a little micro plan that puts you in the safe zone in terms of execution for the next 10 seconds. So you can think about other things. Then you can maybe even think, what's Diana doing? Well, maybe she's basing. Can I stop her base? Can I harass her a little bit? And he's like, oh, there she is. Right? All these little things, they all add up. These are all things that follow from your micro in that. Micro planning in this case. Right? Because it's not about the speed of the inputs. It's not about raw mechanics here. Alright, then this situation happened where we didn't have a tempo lead anywhere. In any lane. So we want to establish leads in lanes. And objectives are usually related to time, right? You need the time to do it without getting killed by everyone who collapses on you. Because objectives put you at a positional disadvantage. Because everyone has to stay in the same space. Right? Usually you don't need to put that many resources into killing it. It's mostly the spatial disadvantage. Everyone knows where you are, what you want to do next. The further down this is, the more time you already put into it. So if you now leave it, you're down resources. So that puts your enemy at a time advantage as well. They can either force you to leave it and then they're already ahead, right? So they don't even need to recapture it if they don't need to. Would be nice if they can, but it's, again, that's not even needed to win that play, to put it into a positive evaluation, right? And yeah, mid lane wasn't really ahead in tempo, bot lane wasn't ahead in tempo, and we were certainly not ahead in terms of raw power, so we don't win the even numbers matchup. Tempo is there to create number advantages, right? Overall on the map. So let's say if you force the enemy to rotate, force one enemy to base, essentially you play 5 versus 4 for a little bit, so you have an overall numbers advantage. Rotations are there to create temporary numbers advantages or disadvantages in different places, right? That's just -1 +1, right? So you just change the balance, which, you know, you can use for all sorts of reasons. But the point there is so that if you just know that everyone's available to go there and you're not stronger, then you're gonna lose, right? You want to make sure you have that tempo advantage, or at least you're just the beast and you can kill them when they come. One of those two. Even easier if you have both, right? Alright, rip. There's too much stuff going on here to go very deep into little micro situations. I would have to look at the root cause of that lane spiraling out of control here. It's like, yeah, go base, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. It's not very interesting. Ooh, the jukes. The mad jukes. Alright, well, looks like my time's up. That's it. Just a little bit of micro. What did I talk about? I didn't talk about bot lane, didn't talk about that many things. Just went a little bit in depth on a few important topics that will recurring over again. So